So yeah, I'm excited, everyone, to have you. Welcome to today's episode of People Who Inspire. Hi, Samuel. How are you doing?
Hello, Prince. I'm good.
Yeah,
Hello to everyone
awesome.
watching.
Yes, thank you guys for those of you joining us. Again, it's another episode of People Who Inspire. And today we're going to have a very interesting conversation, getting to know our guest and also getting to understand how he's able to juggle between seemingly two divergent, should I call it, professions and areas of expertise. So I'm always excited to come your way to really not just celebrate people who are doing great things, but also to draw some inspiration from their story, from their lives as well. And I believe that inspiration begets inspiration. So as we get to hear the stories of my guests and also people like Dr. Achiaw, we would really understand what it takes to be the person that you're supposed to be. So thank you for agreeing to be with us today. How's your weekend going?
My pleasure. Um, Quite uneventful, if I should say. Nothing new happening.
Yeah.
Just working up on some projects and assignments. Yeah.
Mm. Awesome. I'm really excited. I remember very well when I was kind of growing up. I used to really admire people who could draw, and I myself I used to do some doodling, but it was not that good. So when I saw some of
Yeah.
your works and knowing very well that you're a doctor, and I was like, this is really an unconventional person, and I would really love to have him here. So once again, welcome to People Who Inspire. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where were you born? How did you grow up? How was it like growing up? Were you born in Accra, or just tell a little bit about the early beginnings?
Thank you again. Yeah, I was born in Accra. I've lived in Accra for most of my life. Um, and I did, however, spend a significant portion of my life schooling in Kumasi for about 6 years. That's doing the medical course. Yeah, the for the much early years. Yeah, so I was born in Accra. I attended the Youngsters International. I don't know if
Oh,
anyone
you
is
went to the youngsters.
familiar or is an
Oh, really?
alumni.
You went to the
Yeah,
youngsters. Oh,
yeah,
wow. Like most of my
yeah.
tight squad all went to the youngsters, and I grew up very close to the youngsters. I lived at
Oh,
Caprice, so
interesting.
most of my friends went to the youngsters, 𝓼𝓽𝓻 and
Wait,
all the ODP.
yeah, yeah. So that's like one of the main branches. Yeah, it was close to Ring Central, and
Yeah.
then that's where I attended. There was another branch in Adenta. Yeah. So yeah, after the upstairs, I went to Presec, did a science course, and very much followed the conventional path. So yeah, I mean, it's for the average smart guardian, I guess that's like the path most people follow. So yeah, you do a
Yeah.
science course. If you get good grades in the WASI, you either do medicine or engineering, I suppose. Yeah, and I mean, I wasn't very inclined to do engineering because I wasn't really fascinated by physics and mathematics and all that. Yeah, but biology was something I really liked. I liked biology to a significant extent, chemistry too. So yeah, at the time, choosing to do medicine perhaps seemed like the best
Mm-hmm.
option. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So I mean, like growing up, who was your main inspiration? I mean, were you inspired by the let's say the so-called, let's say, sharks, or how was it like? Were you the kind who would ordinarily go to these game houses? I remember very well. Most of my friends from the youngsters, we used to eventually end up at Newtown playing games in some game houses and stuff like that. Were you that typical, like?
I mean, not really. Uh, I was quite kept, if I should say. Not so like outgoing, and um, for the much early years, I used to live at Pig Farm, so that was quite
Oh, I know
close
Pit
to
Farm. Yeah.
the youngsters. Yeah, but my family moved to Santa Maria.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
lived at Santa Maria as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah, Kwashiman.
So,
Yeah, I was
yeah, I
close
mean, my
to.
family is still at
Uh,
Santa Maria. Yeah, yeah. So, usually after school, uh, I'd be driven back home. So there was a lot of like after school, going out with the boys to, do something mischievous. Not much of that. Yeah.
oh, okay, okay, okay. So were you, let's say, mainly inspired by? Was there any like a figure in your life growing up that, I mean, apart from your parents, of course, that you looked up to and you kind of aspired to be like?
Well, well, to be honest, I don't think I've really been good at, having role models. I've always been inspired by people's works and,
Mm,
other stuff like that. But I might say, I did have some pretty good and interesting and encouraging teachers. Um, I can remember one of, I mean, there are quite a number. And I remember one of my teachers from class six. He, in a way, he taught me to be quite curious. Try to. He would read anything. He always had a novel, no matter how childish you'd think that novel was. He was very curious. Always wanting to read and um, yeah, he was generally curious about a lot of things. I remember he taught a number of us how to play chess. So yeah, we used to play. Yeah,
wow.
we used to play chess with him, and yeah, so he was very encouraging. I think in a way he helped me to know, uh, just look at like the mainstream. It's always okay to look elsewhere to gather inspiration from elsewhere. Yeah.
So yeah, I think some. I remember also that the likes of. I still remember a few of my the youngsters squad back in the day. Ernest Kuban, Elikem Duse Anthony, actually Shaq Stone also went to the youngsters. Yeah, there was this guy. So like these are guys I used to, and Elikem. I remember. I used to study with him to prepare for the BC, and I remember we would walk all the way to WAEC to buy past questions and stuff like that. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that the youngster squad, Charlie, they were
Yeah.
tight. They were tight. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
and yeah. What I'm curious about is at what point did you always have this, you know, proclivity for art? Because I think that for someone like you, I'm pretty sure that you started early. You started drawing quite early.
Well, yes, I mean, for as far back as I can remember, I always used to draw, um, but I don't think it was unusual, a lot of kids used to draw, so you watch like, I don't know, G.I. Joe and others.
Cartoon
uh,
Network.
Captain Planet, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean all those animations, the Disney animations. Yeah, I mean I really like the Disney animations because I think the art, even at that age, I thought the art was very well done, and they really put in a lot of like skill and effort into designing their characters. So I was really drawn to the Disney movies, the Disney characters. But I mean, I liked most animation that everyone liked, and yeah, I used to draw like everyone else. At the point, it wasn't so unusual, if I should say. Yeah.
And going to Presec, did you continue with the let's say the arts at Presec? Because I know how competitive Presec is. So were you able to still do art and do science
Yeah.
alongside?
I mean, it used to be back then. It used to be really much of a hobby. I mean, every now and
Okay.
then. Well, in the early years, let's say like first year, second year, more often than in the latter years. I mean, the latter years, yeah, I don't remember drawing much. Yeah, but in the early years, yeah, I used to doodle and um, you know, draw a little here and there. Yeah, but it wasn't really intense. It wasn't something that I dedicated a lot of time to. Yeah, but yeah, so well, for a while, I would say I wasn't really drawing for yeah, a significant number of years. Yeah, and so yeah, and I go to medical school, and yes, I mean for the first 3 years, I mean I wasn't really
Exactly.
doing any of that stuff.
Yeah, I was really coming to that because I mean most of my very close friends went to medical school as well, and I mean one of my very close best friends also read medicine, and we were roommates in first year, and literally the guy was nowhere to be found. Like he's almost always in the library, and sometimes he would do like a marathon, like 10 hours straight of studies or like 12 hours and stuff like that. So, I mean, I was coming to that part, when you got into
Yeah.
medical school, I'm guessing for sure you had no time for the pencil.
Yeah, I mean, medical school can be very competitive, especially when you get in like at the early years, and everyone wants to do their best. Everyone wants to like get the best grades, and usually they display like mid-semester results and end of year or end of semester results. So, everyone gets to know what grades you are getting, if you're doing well or not. And I mean, med school is like the um right, I can't specify the right word, but you have a collection of people who were pretty good in
Yeah.
the junior high school. Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, they take a lot of pride in doing well academically. So yeah, it
Yeah.
can get very competitive. But yeah, but for me, I think once you get especially into the clinical years, and you get to know more about the profession, you realize it's not just about the books, it's not just about the
Mm.
grades. And you also realize that um, well, you need more than just academics. There are so many aspects of your life that you need to try and develop, because at the point, especially clinical years, you're getting older, much more mature. You're understanding the world in like different ways, and yeah, you realize it's not just about your books. You need to have time for other things that you're passionate about. Yeah, so for the first 3 years in medical school, I wasn't really into drawing. And actually I mean, I did have other interests that I still like try to explore, things that I try to spend time on. I used to write every now and then.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I
Wow.
was in the editorial committee, and yeah, I like choral music. I still do. So yeah, I used to sing with the university choir.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
but getting back to drawing, actually, yes.
Ah, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
So yes, I really like music, choral music, classical music. Maybe a little more than drawing, if I would admit. But
Hmm.
anyway, uh, so well, getting back to drawing, I remember in my third year, I think I was reading up for one of these mid-semester or end of semester tests, and I met a friend, a previous classmate, like we're in the same class, we were in Presec, and he liked to draw, and you know he used to doodle, and I used to do that, so we knew we shared that interest in the art, so we got into a conversation, and he told me how he um had got back to drawing, and he was learning portraiture, and
Okay.
yeah, so that sort of piqued my interest, and yeah, so I remember meeting him and one other artist one time. So they just showed me around, if I should say, some of the basic stuff,
Hmm.
in making portraiture. So I think at the end of third year, I got interested or re-interested in drawing and in making portraiture. So yeah, so I spent like the long vacation, yeah, experimenting, and yeah, I was just trying. I didn't really expect much from it. I didn't have like, okay, I have this big goal that I want to start making uh, photorealistic or hyperrealistic artwork. Now, it was just something that I had an interest in, and I decided to just explore.
Hmm. Wow. And I mean, from 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 what you're telling me, my guess is that you have. So do you play any musical instruments? So I'm just trying to see. Okay, do you play any musical instruments or apart from the singing?
Sorry, I can't seem to hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now? No, you can't hear me. Ah, okay. Let me check my microphone. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Oh,
You can't hear me. Okay. Let me see. Okay, so let me check why you can't hear me. So if you're watching and you can hear me, let me know. I'm not sure if it's from my side because I think someone cannot hear me. So
I'm not getting anything back. I don't know what's happening.
okay. So if you're watching and you can
But
hear me,
can
just let
can
me
you
know.
hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I can hear you clearly. So I'm wondering what is happening. But, let me check if it's from my side. Okay, so my audio seems to work. I'm not sure why you can't hear me. So can you hear me now? Yes, yes. Perfect. Okay. Okay, so for those of you watching, we have a bit of a technical issue. So someone will log back in and then we continue the conversation. So today we are having a medical doctor who is also in parallel a hyper realistic artist. And he's sharing with us his journey, his passions, and how he kind of reconnected with his passion for drawing. So can you hear me now? Can you hear me? But I can't hear you. Unfortunately, I can't hear you. It's strange. Yeah. You can hear me now, but I can't hear you. Let's see what's happening. Yeah, I can't hear you still. So let me see. Let's try. Okay, so yes, as I was saying, we would have someone joining us in a few seconds. But yes, so he's sharing with us how he reconnected with his passion for drawing, and in the second part of the conversation, we'll delve a bit deeper into some of the principles that he's applied to his personal journey and what really it takes to kind of explore that inner talent that you have, been able to explore the passions that you have, irrespective of your profession. So someone would take us through some of his learnings and some of the principles that have helped him. I believe strongly that, no matter the regular job you have, no matter the let's say, the job you have, you can still develop other aspects of your strengths and stuff like that. So this for me, I think, is a very timely conversation that we are having with Samuel. If you have a passion, and in most cases, in most instances, I do realize that the people that eventually are celebrated as successful usually are people who have picked up, certain strengths and certain talents along the way. So you can find people who are trained as computer scientists who are completely doing something in the arts, and vice versa. You can have someone like, I think a few weeks back, I hosted also another guest called Samuel, who read political science and currently running an engineering company. So he's building, solar inverters, for his customers. So this, yes, Samuel, welcome back. If you can hear me now.
Sorry, sorry
yes, I
about
can
that.
hear
Can
you.
you hear me? Okay.
Yes, I think it's working now. No problem. Yeah, so I was just saying that you were able to reconnect with, the passion for drawing, right? Now, can you tell me, what did it take to kind of perfect, this passion that you have? Because I realized that for most of us, we do have some talents, we do have some passion, but what is lacking really is the mastery of that passion, right? So many people don't spend the needed time and the discipline to build competency in that passion. So can you share with us, what that journey was for you and how much time it took to get to where you are in art?
Well, I think it was in most parts just sheer curiosity, if I should say. Um, and I mean, once I got back to drawing, I'd always been interested in, artists online, Instagram, yeah, Twitter, but mostly Instagram. So yeah,
Yeah,
I
Rinses and all that.
yes, I really there's this Nigerian hyperrealist artist Calvin Okafor. Yeah,
Yes, Okafor,
yes,
yeah.
he's
He's based in
he's
the UK.
amazing. Yes, there are quite a number of Nigerian, a few Ghanaian artists. So I used to follow their works, but once I got back to drawing and specifically to portraiture, I started paying more um, emphasis and paying more details to the works, and I try to challenge myself. With each new work, I try to so for the first work, fine, I know maybe okay, it's not so good, and the next one I have to do something better. just a small part of the portrait. So yeah, so with each new drawing, I try to do something better, and I wasn't so critical of myself at the
Mm-hmm.
beginning, and I think that helped me really get into the groove of things. That really helped me to get more interested. Yeah, now I'm much more critical, but now I'm already, really much into it. There's a lot of passion already into it. So I'm not going to be disappointed even if I'm unable to meet my own expectations here. But starting out, I wasn't really critical of myself, and fine, I would see like really amazing artwork online and I'd aspire to do something like that, but it never really um put me down. I didn't think, oh, okay, like my artwork is not this good, so maybe it's not worth following, it's not worth continuing drawing because I'm not this good. Yeah. So I think that really helped at the initial stages. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, now I'm very critical and it's perhaps not as fun, if I should say. I mean, it's more fulfilling now, but
Mm-hmm.
not as fun. I mean, in the beginning, I was just, just trying something out, and with each new artwork, those components of like discovery or fun, So yeah, yeah. But now it's changed a little. I mean, I still enjoy it very much, but it's much more critical now. And another thing too is that given that I was in medical school and had other obligations, I took my time, if I should say. I didn't really rush it. I wasn't worried if I'd spend let's say an hour a day or in a week if it was a very busy week. I took my time. So I I decided, okay, I'm going to do this portrait and I'm going to finish it. I don't care how long it's going to take. And yeah, so yeah, things like that. I think it really helped me in the beginning. And yeah, and there's a lot of resource online. You can always learn from like their free tutorials. You can always learn a thing or two from watching other people work. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I think it was a mix of these factors, if I should say.
And I realized also that, I mean, even for myself, and for other people I talk to, they they have this kind of innate drive, to kind of pursue something other than the profession they are trained for. But they kind of there's this the reason why I am excited, to have you here is that there's this notion that there's not enough time, to kind of build this passion that I have, But you are a medical doctor. I mean, if we are looking at people who are busy and have really tight schedule, I mean, medical doctors are definitely in the top. So I'm curious, can you share with the viewers, what are some of the principles that kind of has helped you to manage that kind of time for your regular profession and for your art? Because I know that some of the art takes like, is it 100 hours or something? And I was blown
Yeah,
away. I was like, what?
yeah. I mean, 100 hours, it could probably span over like 3 months or four
Mm-hmm.
months because let's say it was 100 hours and in a day, let's say on a good day, maybe I get to draw for like 3 or 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe on some days I only get like 1 hour. So yeah, it's not like well defined and it's not like 100 hours. So let's say I spend 5 hours every day. Yeah, so it's difficult. And on some very busy days, like after school when I started working, I could go a couple of days without touching an artwork. Yes, but like I said, I decided I wasn't going to be too critical of myself. I was going to take my time.
Mm-hmm.
And well, the way you describe you make me sound like I have a very well planned out day and I make like the very best use of my time. I don't think so, because there are most days I sit back and I feel like I've wasted a lot of time doing nothing actually. Yeah. But well, coming down to making time for things we like, I
Mm-hmm.
came to the realization, um, yes, during medical school that your life shouldn't be just focused around your work, no matter how much you love your work, unless that's the only thing in your life that you care about. But once you have other things or other interests, it's a shame not to dedicate a little time to, um, work on those things. Yeah, it may not be much, just an hour or two a week, but it always builds up. Yeah, and no matter how busy you are, if you are bent on making time for something, I think you can always, squeeze out 30 minutes or an hour, out of your day. So yeah, it all comes down to that. I think most times people think when they want to start something new, um, maybe they should have like 5 hours a day to like work on it, and yeah, you're probably not going to get that. So you have to take baby steps and be patient with yourself. What I realize is like I said earlier, when people try to learn something new, and it's very easy to get intimidated because you
Mm-hmm.
see others, do like really amazing stuff,
Yeah.
and you're starting out and you're even struggling at the beginning and you're like, oh, this too much, I can't do this. And then yeah, I get that. But I mean, for most people, they all started out, like that, not being so good. And with time, yeah, they really get there. So I think if you want to start something, you just have to be patient with yourself. Yeah, yeah. That's yeah.
I think that's a very, very, very important. So for those of you watching, as someone has just said that, at the beginning when you're trying to really discover that passion, sometimes there's a temptation to always compare yourself with those who are doing similar things or those who have gone ahead of you. And too much focus on that, can be quite intimidating and sometimes can discourage you. And the number two principle he mentioned is that don't be too critical of yourself at the beginning. So, don't be your own, let's say, judge at the beginning. Just go with the flow, just go with the energy and the excitement that you have. Um, but and the third principle that also I've learned is that you cannot do everything in a day. So even though someone mentions that some of the artwork would take 100 hours, it does not mean that he's spending, let's say, 8 hours a day, doing it. So that can be spread across 3 months or even 4 months, and really baby steps. A journey of 1,000 miles definitely begins with those, initial first steps. So I think these principles are very solid, if you ask me. The other thing that maybe I want to ask you is that, so let's say that I'm a trained engineer, for example. How do I discover, my passion that is, let's say, outside my profession, right? So is there any, principle, or is there any process that you have learned for yourself, that maybe you can share that, okay, if you are trained to do this as a profession, maybe these principles can help you discover, other competencies or other skills that you have.
Well, I mean, I'm not a talent expert, but I think it's always obvious the things you like and are passionate about.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, what happens is that As you get older, as you're told, you have to follow this path, you have to take this role or this position in
Yeah.
society. It's easy to veer off that path because you think it's not, I mean, that's not what you are supposed to do. And doing that wouldn't allow you to have time to do what everyone expects you to do or you expect yourself to do. Yeah. So I think it's always obvious. And sometimes too, there is maybe a fear. I don't know. Yeah, perhaps a fear of um, what others might think,
Yeah.
and a fear of failing, you know. And I think there's nothing wrong with if you have an interest in something and you spend some time on it, and after trying so many times, you are not able to get to the level that you want. I don't think there's any shame in it. I think learning in itself is, the process of learning is adds something to your life. It's a whole um adventure is its own discovery. And fine, you might set out to maybe learn how to, let's say, play an instrument, and maybe you might work it out so many times and not get to like the level of perfection, but maybe through that you get to meet some amazing people who would help you, in other aspects of your life, or through that you get to have other ideas which will help you in other aspects of your life. So I don't think it's ever a waste to, put into some effort. But when it comes down to finding out what you're passionate about, I think in a way we always know, just that sometimes we are not ready to be truthful to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think, well, a way you could look at it is if you are really struggling to find out what you are really good at, I think you can always look back on when you were younger, because when we were younger, you weren't bound by all these societal expectations. So you're more likely to try out things, you really liked. So you could always look back on the younger years. And I think, yeah, that's a good place to start if you're really not sure of yourself.
I truly agree. I think that there's that there's that fear to really look within, because some way somehow we all know that we have this talent or this passion, but sometimes we are either afraid, there's that fear or that uncertainty, and like you rightly mentioned earlier, that erroneous perception to always compare ourselves with people who are doing similar things. And yeah, I fully understand from that. So if, I mean, for those of you watching, I think there are some comments already coming in. I'm not sure if you know Samuel, if you know Dr. Poazunre. If you
Well,
if you
not
follow the
personally, but I've heard of him. I've seen his work.
Yes,
It's
yes. So
very
he just
inspirational.
posted this comment for, so he's giving you kind of a kudos as well. He says, focus on your lane and focus on improving yourself. Don't pay too much attention to other lanes. I like it. So yeah, he likes that principle that you shared. So
Thank you, Paul.
yeah. There are some other comments also coming in from Julia and Kumar. That's kudos to the channel. So yeah, so there are people who are really giving some form of also agreeing with some of the principles that you've shared. Now, if we want to come back to like where you are now, I know that a few weeks ago you were one of the awardees for the I think something regarding the British. Can you just tell us about the award you received? I don't want to say too
Um,
much. I want you to tell us. Yeah.
so I, yeah,
How did that
I
happen
was,
in the first place? Like, can you walk us through the journey and how that happened?
well, it's not that much of a journey anyway. So the Royal Society of British Artists
Hmm.
has been in existence since the 1800s, I think, and they have their annual exhibitions, and yeah, so they exhibit works from members of the society, and they always have open calls for artists in working in all sorts of styles and in different media. So so yeah, so I applied when the opening calls was announced, and I was privileged enough to have three of my work selected for the exhibition, and I had one work chosen for a fine art award. Yeah. Yeah, I was really not expecting it. I mean, I did, of course, send in my applications, but I wasn't expecting it, and uh, I was even expecting to be selected for the exhibition, much more to have been selected for the prize. So it was a really encouraging moment for me, and yeah, it's I guess in one way or the other, telling me to, keep up with it. Yeah,
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 yeah.
and I'm really grateful to have had that experience. Yeah.
That's huge. I mean, you are very humble about it, but for me, it's huge. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. I mean, to like you rightly said, looking at your journey, the fact that I mean, at some point you're not even drawing, and you pick this up, and the Royal Society of British Artists, like you said, not just chose your work for the exhibition, but also to be an award winner. So that for me, it's like a two-in-one win, sort of. And I went through their site. I looked at the other works that people were doing, and I surmised obviously there were lots of applications or lots of artists who put in applications. So for me, I think I mean, well done, and kudos to you on that.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's really inspiring to hear that you were in that space. And if I look at your work that you did, I think you drew Lupita. Um,
Yes.
yeah. How long did that take? Like, what's that? What's can you like a rough estimate?
That should have taken about 70 to 80 hours. Um,
Wow.
yes, but I mean that was as detailed as my more recent works. Yeah, so in a
Ah.
way, yeah, I mean, some of my more recent works usually take more than 100 hours, 150, depending on the size.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've had some take more than 200 hours. Yeah, so yeah, and
And the one you did of the other actor, what is it, Meha or what's how do you
yeah, Mahershala
Maha or
Ali.
something? Yeah.
Yeah, that
That,
that
that
took
I'm
a while.
sure took a while because I see the pause on the
Yes,
screen.
yes, yes. I think I'm getting too obsessed with details now, and so it takes a while to finish. But yeah, I try to make sure like the work is as good as I can make it. So it doesn't matter how long it's going to take. I want it to be as good as I can make it. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
Wow. Yeah. I think that for me personally, I think I mean what really inspires me is that um, I think 2 days ago or something, I shared a post on, no, it wasn't yesterday. Actually, it was about Dr. Azunre's project. So he has this project called, I think, an organization called the Ghana NLP, the Natural Language Processing, where he's looking at machine learning and stuff like that, and how we can literally digitize most of our local languages and stuff like that. And he posted, I mean, yesterday or so, he posted like a very huge breakthrough where their machine learning algorithm is able to pick up the tree language and convert it into text and stuff like that. And I shared and I said that the many problems that we have in our society in Ghana, in most developing countries, we have the minds and the brains to proffer solutions, or we have people who have solutions for these things. Now, if we look into the art space, right, not a lot is happening from my point of view, because I think that there are lots of, like when I take the Nigerian art space on most of the hyper realistic artists I follow, I'm not like a professional artist, but most of them are Nigerians, right? And I see also that a lot of their corporate bodies, kind of support them in some of these exhibitions and stuff. Like, what is your perspective on, or how can we create, that momentum for artists in Ghana as well? I mean, like yourself and those others who are, let's say, who are like behind the scenes, doing their own stuff. What can we do as a society, to create a momentum for art?
Yeah. Well, I think there is some sort of momentum that started in Ghana. Um, I mean, it's picking up. There are a lot of agencies, a lot of residency programs that support new artists, their upcoming galleries. Yeah, so I think it's slowly catching up, and there are a lot of Ghanaian artists that have had like great success outside the country, and I see quite a number of them, lending in their support to try and change things and give opportunities to other Ghanaian artists who may not get the opportunity to, perhaps share their skills outside their country. So I think it's slowly picking up, and I think there needs to be a rethinking of what art is and what it means to us as a society. Um, because I realize even though a lot of people um, still, like art and they would pass compliment or two, very few actually value it. When I talk about valuing, not just in monetary terms, but value it as something worth dedicating time and effort
Mm.
to. So I think there is a shift. It's quite slow, but I think things are changing. People are in Ghana rethinking things. There are galleries opening up. Um, I was working with one. I'm still working with one foundation, or to leave Ghana,
Okay.
and yes, we're working on a UNESCO civic care project.
Okay.
And yes, with that project, we've been able to get in some young Ghanaian artists to, use their works to voice out on, societal issues. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
one of the things I was very privileged to work on. Um, yes, with a team. I mean, I'm just a member of the team. Um, and I was privileged to have the opportunity to have been called upon to, lend in my insights to, yeah. So that's just one of the small projects. I know there are bigger projects that are taking place in Ghana. So I think with time, um, things will get better. So yeah, and I would say that for now, what we can do is to encourage artists that found success outside the country to, maybe come back and
Yeah.
try and help one way or the other. Yeah. So I think things will change, but it might take a while to, yeah, to see that change. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think you rightly mentioned all the important ingredients. I mean, so we see for other professions, like medicine, we see very successful medical doctors in the diaspora coming back home, after a number of years to either build a hospital or like to build competency of younger doctors and stuff. So definitely for the artists who have found some success and prominence outside the country, yeah, it's really important that they come back home. I mean, to support. So if you're watching, you can also visit the website, Samuel's website, and you can see that on the screen. Just visit the website, you see all the other works that he has there. And if you want to maybe also connect with him, you can drop him a message via the website. I think there's a contact also there. You can also see his social media platforms that you can also follow. And that's just by the way. So now I would open the floor for questions. If you have any questions to ask, please do so now, as we have just 7 minutes left. And my last question before we take questions from the audience would be, so now you, like, what is the let's say the vision for the art you're doing? Should we expect an exhibition soon, or I know probably you've done some in the past, but in terms of what is the next stage you want to take your art? I know for the medicine, definitely it's a constant, it's your profession. But for the art, what is the next thing that we should expect from you?
Well, that's a daunting question, but so well, I'm still trying to improve my skills. Still trying to explore other art styles, but of course, I'm also thinking about reaching a wider well audience. I don't think that's the right word to use, but um, and yeah, so I'm still hoping, trying to get to work with more galleries. Yeah, ultimately, I'm hoping to be in a position to um, help or yeah, encourage young guardians and also encourage art in people who might not think of themselves as artists, because I think art, and to some extent other forms of passions we have, I think it's part of the human nature, it's part of the human condition, and fine, you may not necessarily make a career out of it, you may not I don't know, get to create famous artworks, but the process of taking it, I feel like once you're leaving, you're always taking an inspiration in one way or the other. Yes, from things we see, from things we hear, and I think art is one of the ways that we sort of bring out the inspiration. It's like you're breathing in the inspiration. So yeah, art is the way you breathe out, and I think it's is in some ways some form of therapy. Yeah, because um, I think a lot of people find themselves somewhat stifled and psychologically constipated, if I should say. And I think, yes, having an outlet, be it art, and not just visual arts like performing art, singing, dancing, I mean, whatever. I think it's necessary to do all those things, even if it's not your profession, because I think it adds up to the human experience. It makes life much more meaningful, Yeah, so ultimately, I'm looking at finding a way to encourage that kind of thinking about art and working with people who share the same vision. Yeah, so that art doesn't just become something reserved for just a few people. I think it's something that should be shared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's one of the big projects I have in mind now. But yeah, I'm always thinking about other projects too. So yeah, I'm sure if something new comes up, you'd know.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So Dr. Paul Azunre also has sent a question through. He says that in what ways has your art helped with the medical profession, if any? So, yeah.
Well, personally, I think it's been a sort of reciprocal relationship. Yeah. Um, I have learned some things in medicine that have helped me or encouraged me to continue with the art. And by getting into the art also, I've also had like different perspectives about medicine. It, for one, at least teaches me some form of patience and yes,
Yeah.
taking time to because I mean sometimes in medicine, you are especially when you are starting out, you're forced down to very minute and mundane tasks, and it can feel like a waste of time, you know. But with my art, I know when I'm spending a lot of time doing something so small, spending hours and hours of a very small part, at the time it feels like, you know, just too much energy spent on something small. But you realize it all adds up to like the big picture. Yes, so yeah, in a way, it's helped me to appreciate some of the little things that needs to be done, in medicine. Yeah, I think it all adds up to the big picture. Yeah, so
Mm,
I'd say that's uh one influence that my art has had in the medical profession.
mm.
And in some ways it's been good therapy. Yeah, because I mean there are days where I've had, very stressful, very horrible days at work, but getting back home, drawing a little, listening to some music, it really helps me to, unwind and not feel as um, down as I was here. So yeah, and I think that's something, a lot of people could also benefit from, using art as therapy.
Yeah, yeah, I fully agree. So I think um, I'm looking through the questions. I think that was the last one. So the rest are all, let's say, compliments. I think Julia also sent um,
Thank
in
you,
some,
Julia.
some, yeah, and then okay, so we have someone quick who said, "I'm watching." Okay, thank you, Kweku, for watching. Yeah, so thank you very much. I think what I would say, Samuel, what would be your last words for someone who is going to watch the recorded version by way of an inspiration? What can you say to inspire someone who has been sitting on the fence for so long, trying to, get their talent or passion going? Any last words for the viewers?
Well, I'd say, yeah, just take the chance, just do it. I think our passions and our um yes, our passions, if I should say, they are part of us, like I said earlier, and to not explore them means a part of us remains unexplored, and you don't want to live through life without exploring all the aspects of you. And I also think not exploring, that's not having an outlet for your passions to flow through, yeah, can make life a little rigid sometimes. So yes, just take the risks, just do it. The therapy and the benefit is in the process. Yes, you might end up creating something great, but even if you don't, just the process of doing that, it's adding up to your experience of life. So yeah, I think people should try, yeah, whatever they are interested in. I know a lot of people give up on, like their music and art and gardening and sports and all that, usually to stick to their regular job, if I should say. Yeah, but I think it's necessary to have an outlet or an avenue for all those things.
Thank you very much. For those of you watching, so today, before I go offline, I like to share this shirt I'm wearing with you guys. So this is from Dr. Pushkin himself. So Dr. Owusu, thanks for delivering this. So I got this nice shirt, if you can see. So that's him on the microphone. As some of you know, he
Oh,
launched his track a few weeks back. So I got this. If you are interested in getting one for yourself, just send me a DM. I'll send you the link, and then you can purchase one to support Dr. Zuri's what the projects he's working on with the music and all that as well. So thank you guys for joining, and thank you, Dr. Zuri, for tuning in. I'm loving the shirt; it feels very comfortable. And thank you, Samuel. I'm really thankful for your time, and I truly appreciate this because, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes we are unaware of the strengths and the potential and the capabilities within us as people. And when we hear stories like yours, when we hear like a medical doctor winning the Royal Society of British Artists Award as one of the awardees, I mean, it's really an inspiration. And until we tell some of these stories, other people would never know that this is happening. And like I always say in the people who inspire, that we are moved mainly by the saying that until the lion learns to write, tales of the narrative would always glorify the hunter. If we Africans don't tell our own stories, if we don't create our own platforms to celebrate and recognize our fellow Africans, then the narrative out there would still pervade. So thank you very much. I really and truly appreciate a bit of your time, and have a nice weekend.
yes,
Bye-bye.
thank you too. Bye.